started here. You were born in Lake Charles, is that right?
Yes, sir. I was born in Lake Charles. All my family is all, within 20 miles of here, all in Sulphur, Moss Bluff, Westlake, and everything. So, from here we moved to Texas, and then headed up north to Chicago. Actually, my dad helped Chris Amy get started here, and he was in Chicago. Is how I ended up in Chicago.
Okay, so you were in Texas, and you said you were away from the racetracks. You really got into rodeo, and you won a couple of your age groups, right?
Yes, sir. I was riding junior bulls, so I won quite a few buckles riding junior bulls and steers.
That's pretty dangerous, isn't it?
I got hurt a couple of times, but never really too bad.
Yeah.
Definitely been hurt a lot more riding racehorses than I had,
Well, now you've had some medical issues. Talk to me about when you were about 12, you had a kidney issue, right?
Yeah, I didn't know at the time. I was having, lots of problems, like my side, my stomach and stuff would hurt, like growing up. But, I went to the hospital a couple times, and, they never really found anything until, one day it got too severe. I couldn't take it anymore, and they ended up doing a lot of tests and stuff and found out that I was born with no left kidney, and my right kidney had completely failed me, completely shut down. It was completely blocked off. So, I was pretty fortunate. The doctors told my parents, he's got about a 50-50 shot that he might not make it out, And so, I don't know, I guess I was only in the hospital for about 8 days, but they went and took out the blockage and got everything repaired, and, I've had it tested throughout the years since then, and never really had any trouble with it since.
Now, what was your doctor's advice about rodeoing and race riding with one kidney?
They said it's healthy, they said, just, protect it. And, they didn't really tell me not to, so.
And it doesn't.
Because they knew that I was strong-willed and I'm going to do it anyway, so they didn't figure that I was probably, too good to tell me one way or the other anyway.
Now, did that at all ever restrict you in riding in races?
No, not at all. No, never once. I've never had an issue with it, and never had a problem since they did, fix the blockage, and I've been nothing but forward since that point. So.
Well, good. Now, you say you moved to Illinois. You were friends with Chris Amy, and of course, his brother was a steward here at Delta Downs for a while, and you knew all them, I guess, growing up. So, how did you get in Illinois into race riding? You started young, right? You got your license at 16?
I got it. Yeah, I got my. I started galloping on the track at 15 because at the time, I'm not sure that you still can do this today, but you're able to get a work permit. So at 15, I was galloping on the track at Hawthorne and at Arlington. So I don't know. It's about a month, I guess, after I turned 16, I got my jock's license and started riding. I started at Arlington, and I was there for, I guess I started about the middle of the meet. I was finished the meet there, and then I went to New York. And I was in New York for 2 winters in a row. And I had went to New York, and I came back to Chicago, and I had a good opportunity. A couple trainers were trying to get me to come back to Chicago. So I came back, and I ended up getting hurt. So I was off for 7 months. So I was coming back around, getting back wintertime again. Chicago was about to end again, so let's head back to New York.
Yeah.
So I went back to New York, and I was there, and I did really well. I was in the top 10. I just won a prep for the Derby on Sorted Out. That later ended up running in the Derby, but Baffert had bought the horse after I won the Whirlaway on him, and shipped him to California, and I didn't get to retain the mount. But so I was doing really good at the time in New York. I just wasn't where I wanted to be. I was a young kid and kind of moved from here to Texas, and all within a short period of time. From the town we lived in Texas, it was not even a red light. It was nothing. There was my graduating class. If I'd have stayed there, was 25 kids. So I went from there to Chicago. It's enough culture shock, and then a year and a half later, I'm in New York. So I did well. But I didn't like it there, so I came back to Chicago.
So all those years in Chicago, what did you learn up there other than riding in cold weather? That had to be a little tough.
I guess a couple years after I was there, I had my first daughter, Emmy Lou. She's 6 now. She'll be here a couple days after Christmas. I'll fly back to Chicago and pick her up. But I spent a lot of time. I had a good friend that had a house in Michigan, so we used to spend a lot of time. So I guess after a couple years, it was either racing or I went and got my daughter every week, and we spent a lot spent a lot of time with her.
Now, speaking of daughters, you had another one, right?
Yes.
And you
Yes,
moved
sir.
to California in January of 2016 this year, and your wife had a baby, right? And you've been off riding until now.
We had the baby actually February 6th. I had stopped riding at the end of the Hawthorne meet, which was like January 3rd. After, when I was done, I had to get a lot of things tied up. I had to sell my house and get everything, moving from Chicago to California is not exactly across the street, so it took a little while to get things packed up. So she had the baby February 6th, and I guess we didn't want the baby to be at least a couple months old before we made that long journey across the country. So we waited till, I guess we left on my birthday, so it had been April 27th, and so it took us 3 days to get there. So on the way, we stopped at my parents' house in Oklahoma and stayed the night there and got to visit with them for a little bit, and then headed west, headed to Exeter, California.
Now, you thought you had a different career out there, but that didn't really work out, or you were spending time away from home, right?
Yeah, I mean, I really, it was, my Devin's parents, they're great people, gave me a great opportunity, and I liked California. I loved being there with their family, but I don't know, I guess I'm a jockey. I like to ride races, and it was something that I thought that I could settle down and let go. But I guess they say it gets in your blood.
Since you have family, did that make it easier to decide to come to Louisiana? What other things went into the decision to come back and be here at Delta Downs and around this area?
I kind of it's great to have my family here. Of course, that's always that always is an awesome thing, and but I mainly was looking at where can I go in the country where the money is as good as it is here, where you're pretty much centrally located. You don't have to travel and bounce around from place to place. So I looked around through the different places, and I thought about possibly going back to Chicago, but the money in the racing is not as good as it is here at Delta and Evangeline and stuff. And even though I love Chicago, I had a lot of great success there and a lot of good, great friends. But so I just wanted to be able to
circuit for you, right?
Yeah, so I plan on just staying here between Delta and Evangeline and making this my home base, and so I don't have to travel a whole lot. Of course I always will if the opportunity arises, but
get a good horse, right?
Yeah, exactly. So but that's how I ended up picking Delta, and then with my family being all my aunts and uncles and cousins and everybody and grandparents all being right here was just another bonus.
Yeah. Now, one thing about coming here, you've only been here a couple of weeks, right? And you've already had some success. You've been to the Winner's Circle a few times, and you rode for Carl Broberg, who's the nation's leading trainer and going to be our leading trainer here, it looks like, for a 6th year in a row. So you've already got some good connections. You've hit the ground running. Things are looking good, right?
Yes, sir. I mean, everything, is looking pretty good. Of course, any new place you got to go, it takes a little time to get yourself established, but Mr. Carl has been great, as well as Calhoun and Stidham and lots of other trainers. I got to win a race for Joe Burnt the other day. Horse come all the way from Chicago, so that was nice. But yeah, definitely got to get going, and I'm thankful to all the trainers that are going to give me a chance and let me show that I can bring the horses to the Winner's Circle.
Now you've got another Louisiana connection, I understand, in that you're good friends with the Guidrys.
Yes,
Mark Guidry, of course, a great rider for many, many years, who's now an agent, and his two sons are both agents here at Delta Downs, and one of them, Marcus, is your agent, right?
Yeah, correct. When Mikas and Marcus were both in Chicago, actually me and Mikas used to run around when we first moved. I don't know, we were about 13 or 14. We used to run around the grandstands at Arlington while Gid was working horses and stuff, But yeah, I guess it was probably when I came back from New York, Marcus had my book. So I've known them for a long time, good friends. So, when I decided I wanted to come here, I picked up the phone and got in touch with Marcus, and things just kind of fell into place.
So, where are you living now? Here in Sulphur? Is that right?
Yes, sir. I mean, I'm actually in the process of getting a place. I've been staying in my grandparents' place for now. So I've been trying to, I want to make sure I find the place that I want to be at for a while. So, like I said, that's another good thing of having family here. Yeah. So I can stay there, and my wife will be here within the next couple of days with the baby. So we could kind of go together and see find us a spot.
Well, one thing about Delta Downs, I don't know if you've noticed, and I've been here for a few years, I like giving jockeys nicknames. Do you have any kind of nickname?
No, sir.
We're going to have to find one for you.
All right, well, go ahead.
We'll definitely do that. And before I wrap things up, I'd like people to get to know you a little bit better and ask you 3 questions just off the top of your head. Okay?
Right.
What's your favorite color?
Blue and green.
Imagine that. It's on your helmet. How about your favorite food?
Bull crawfish.
Bull crawfish. You are from Louisiana, aren't
Yeah,
you?
we have it every year. I'd probably boil, I don't know, 400 pounds a year probably in Chicago.
Oh my
I'd
gosh.
have them flown up live, and we had a big crawfish party every
You
year.
don't think of crawfish in Chicago.
Yeah, well, they fly live. You
Yeah.
order them. I'd order them by noon today. They're guaranteed at your doorstep the next morning at 10 o'clock.
Wow. So you'd have a big
And
crawfish
the price,
boil.
yeah, we'd have a bunch of them
That's
all year.
great. That's awesome. And one other question. If you had an all-expense 1-week paid vacation anywhere in the world, where would you go?
That's a tough one. Where would I go? Home.
Home? Yeah, you're the first person that's ever said that. That's awesome. That's great. Well, home is where the heart is, so that's great.
Yeah.
It's Christmas. Well, have a great holiday season. Welcome to Delta Downs, and we're glad you're here.
All right.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.